on target, doing a great job. Comet sticking to Avenger 1 very tight. This could be it. This could be the moment.
Size right now, and with that Comet 15 is taken out here.
Wow. Wow, Comet 15 going down. That puts a 1v1. Avenger 1 versus Bognagus. This is a...
But you can see. There
oh,
we go!
right there! Avenger 1 taking down Bognagus. Putting Team Be Avenged. Oh, my.
And there it goes!
Team Bognagus going down to the Hornet.
That's right, Avenger 1 now take. There it is!
Doing a great damage here. Doing some good damage. Flame is down. Here it goes. New Cabbage out of the way. It only leaves Avenger 1 versus Zero State. Will Zero State clutch him up? Be in right here. Is this a moment where Avenger 1 takes it? Here we go. Team Be Avenged goes up 2-0.
Come here then. Come here. Up you go. Up you go. Come on. You complain a lot. You complain a lot. You complain a lot. Okay. Okay. Can I take a video, please? Your paws are wet. Stop. Yeah, I know. Okay. Sit over there. Good boy. Well, folks, we're back. Back from Citcon, and wow, what an experience. That was probably one of the best experiences I have ever been on. To compete in the tournament, to see a lot of folks there over the years, see a lot of my team. It's been a really good time. It's been a really good time. If you've never gone to Citcon, I would say you are missing out. So I know I'm going to be going to all the Citcons, or at least trying to, from here on out. And I just wanted to say, if I had a chance to meet you at Citcon, if I had a chance to shake your hand, thanks for coming out. And I am blown away with the amount of support and love and just positivity that I received when I went there. I was a little bit skeptical. I was a little bit like, well, I know there's gonna be a lot of positivity, but I think part of me was expecting a little bit of negativity, just from some of the stuff over the years. But honestly, I didn't see anything. Nothing. Not a single person was mean to me or rude to me. A lot of people came up and shook my hand. A lot of people, so we're saying thank you for all the stuff we're doing on the channel, and I think that pretty much sums up like the energy that was at Citcon this year. I'm going to briefly talk about some stuff that happened. And if this is not the kind of video that you're expecting on the channel, I don't blame you. So you can go ahead and click through and go to Core Skills playlist if you want to watch some more content. So I'll just simply say thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you so much for all the help and positivity you guys bring to the channel on Twitch and YouTube and everything. And that I couldn't do this without you, right? And that it was a lot of fun to compete in public and then be brought up on the stage after and wave to everybody, right? Now, that being said, it's story time. So some of you folks knew we were set up in Hall B for the Fight or Flight tournament. And the folks at Abno Esports, in my opinion, put on a wonderful show. And we came across all kinds of hiccups. The sticks that were supposed to come got stuck in customs, so we didn't have any sticks. There were some build issues for the build that we were using for the tournament. There was logistical issues, like considering all the obstacles that were put in our way at last minute. The fact that we got the show off the ground, the fact that we still had a lot of really exciting matches to entertain people as they came through Hall B is a testament to the hard work and dedication that the folks at Abno have been going through, and also the CIG folks that came down at short notice to help, fix any of the issues that cropped up, including building entirely new builds on the spot to help us with what we needed to do, right? So if you're one of those CIG folks that was helping out there, thank you so much. You guys literally kept the wheels greased and kept this thing from falling apart. And okay, I guess I probably should I guess I should probably explain the story of what happened in match 1. So for some of you folks who watched the first fight between Bog and August, his partner Comet, there was a small issue that happened to me halfway through the first fight. The arrow had been broken during the build, so nobody could pick the arrow. And so we kind of had to adapt on the fly. I didn't train for the Gladius or the blade specifically for the tournament. I trained almost exclusively in the arrow. And so I had to kind of think, what am I also, at least somewhat competent in? And the Gladius kind of came up as the ship to pick. I knew that there's a problem with the Gladius. On previous patches, the nose health was really low, but I took the risk, and I also thought to myself, well, if we get an atmosphere map and I'm in the Gladius, it's a guaranteed loss almost, right? The Gladius is not very good in atmosphere, so I thought, I got a 1 in 4 chance. There's 3 space maps and 1 atmosphere map, so I thought, okay, I'm gonna roll the dice, and we got space. But the problem was, because we had to set up all our sticks every single time we started up on a fight, we were letting other competitors use, because I ended up bringing my own personal sticks, so did Schwang, and a couple guys from AVS, I asked for them to bring their equipment as well, because we were struggling to kind of get the equipment we needed to get everyone who's typically on a dual sticks pedal or throttle pedal setup good to go, because a lot of stuff got stuck in customs, right? So I guess during this procedure, my right stick, there's a little black screw that sits on the Verpal, because I had taken the sticks off the mount and then for travel and then put them back on when we got there, and other folks had been using them and we had been setting them all up. I guess the screw had become loose, but not loose enough that it popped off the mount during my rebinding phase, which took about 20 minutes. So what ended up happening was Leezy ended up getting hit, and well, as soon as that happened, my right stick, during the fight, it just felt like it went loose, like the twist had broken. And I had felt like this before. It felt exactly like a broken twist. Now, I'm lucky my right stick, I'm not using the twist function. But what ended up happening was the stick became loose like a noodle. And so, trying to aim precision with the right stick now that was loose on the twist really messes with your muscle memory. And mentally, it can have an effect on you during a fight as well. Because now you're thinking, oh my God, I've got broken equipment. And during the fight, I actually end up pointing over to one of the reps and saying, my stick is not malfunctioning. But there's nothing they can do, right? So at that point, I tried to stay calm, or clam under pressure. I tried to stay calm and just focus on my job. Okay, I knew I had a glaive to shoot down. I knew I had, it was going to be a struggle, taking out the blade. Sorry, blade. I said glaive, but I meant blade. I apologize, right? I knew the blade's nose health is very low, so I thought, okay, I've got a chance here. We had done some damage to it before since I had ballistics on the Gladius. And so I went in and I just gave it all I got. Tried to keep the Hornet away from me while engaging the blade. And luckily enough, we had done enough damage to the blade that when I got the shields down, I was able to get the kill. Whew! And, when that happened, you could hear all the people watching the tournament. You could hear the crowd just go up, because I think a lot of folks who PvP know that in a situation of 2v1, if you're able to kill the more dominant fighter in that 2v1, like the blade. Come here, Sam. I know you're excited too. If you're able to kill the blade, there's now a chance. So it went from people thinking oh, this is over, to kind of this Cinderella story of oh my God, he can pull it off, right? Would you sit down? Relax, man. Sit. Good boy. Relax. Just there you go. Easy, buddy. And then after that, I was able to, in a 1 versus 1 situation, the Hornet's not really that great. It's amazing in a team fight, but in a 1v1 versus the Gladius, you could be, one of the better pilots in the game, and it's still going to be a really tough fight. So I was able to get behind Bog and take him out. And I remember hearing the crowd when that happened. It just erupted. It erupted because it's rare to see a 2v1, but to see a 2v1 in a tournament live when the stress is high is definitely an exciting thing. Yes, see, I know Sam's proud of me. So, at that point, I had so much excitement and adrenaline in me. I ended up standing up and pointing over at the guys on the other side. And I mean this with no disrespect, right? It was not meant to be me trying to trash talk. I was so excited and I was so blown away that I actually pulled it off. I stood up and I said, "On a broken stick." Boggs seemed to, both of the guys took it really well. They smiled and they were laughing. Which is a testament to their character. They're good people, right? And then we ended up having round 2 and we were able to pull round 2 off, right? I can't explain the feeling of playing the game that I know I love for a long time in a live setting in front of hundreds of people. I mean, it was, it was a dream come true for me. I guess, Chris got a little teary-eyed up there talking to everybody about, hold the line. But, his dream is to make StarCitizen. I mean, my dream is just to compete. And we competed. We competed a lot, right? Round 2, so the second fight I had in the second day, what ended up happening was, we were going up against New Cabbage and Zero State, and both amazing pilots. Zero State's been training really hard. He's genuinely really, really good. New Cabbage, part of LR, also great pilot, right? And they had chosen an interesting setup. They chose the Glaive and the Hornet, So previously we had Comet choosing the Blade, right? But the Glaive is a tricky one. Glaive's a tricky one, right? Now, my partner for this tournament was Leezy, right? And when Leezy first started training, she had, and I'm not kidding, 0 time in the cockpit for PvP. I mean, 0, right? And Abno came to her and said, "Do you want to do this tournament?" And Leezy agreed. Now, at first, when I met Leezy, I was like, okay, this poor girl, is she aware of what she just got herself into, right? But I can tell you right now that she trained every single day for the better part of almost 2 months. I know I had plenty of time with her as well to train. She trained with other squadrons like Vanguard. Like, she trained every day. She took this super seriously, and I can think of no better wingman that I could have been given, because she had the best kind of attitude coming into this, right? And by the time it was all over and she was trained and competing in the tournament, she was competent. She was ready to go. I think people don't realize how difficult it is to go from no training to tournament ready within a month and a half. I mean, that to me is a miracle in and of itself, right? And the fact that she performed so well in the tournament, and also, in a live setting, for her way outside of her comfort zone, I think for her, I was so proud to see that kind of effort and dedication kind of paid off in a short amount of time. So, Leezy, if you're watching, you did an amazing job, right? Her and her husband were so awesome. A couple times I would go talk to her, to her husband and be like, "She's doing great," and he's like, "Yeah, I know, I'm watching her. She's doing great," So it was really nice, and I was really happy with Leezy and her performance, and I think she did fantastic, But anyway, come to fight 2. We're fighting New Cabbage and Zero. This is for the semifinals, and the Glaive and the Hornet are very, very powerful. And I remember coming into the first fight, first turn, what ended up happening was the Glaive, it's super, super wide. And this is a common thing that happens. If you fly the Glaive, you kind of are desensitized to how large it is, because most fighters have almost half the wingspan the Glaive does, right? So the Glaive is very short height-wise, right? But width-wise, it's a huge, huge wingspan. And I think what ended up happening was in the initial merge on the initial fight, the Glaive got a little close to Leezy's Hornet, and I think what ended up happening was one of the wings ended up clipping the side of the Hornet, killing Leezy. But then apparently after that, the Glaive either hit a rock right after or hit hit the wreck of the Hornet or something happened, because the glaive died right away after that, right? And so in the very first round, it came down to a 1v1, me and the Blade versus Zero and the Hornet. And the reality is, again, no matter how great you are in the Hornet, in a 1 versus 1, the Blade is it's a much better dogfighter in a 1 versus 1 setting. Even though the Blade's got a bit low nose health, its translation, weapon accuracy, double shields, it's just a better fighter in a duel, right? In a gang setting, the Hornets will be better because they can merge on each other. But in a 1v1 setting, the Blade wins that almost every time, right? And so that's what happened, right? Took the first round, pretty exciting. Now the second round gets interesting. This one I think is really the one that won the tournament. For me, right? But now I was down to a 2v1 situation again. But again, we had done a little bit of damage, hopefully, to the glaive, which I had noticed, right? So this is a tricky spot to be in, but thank God I was fighting a glaive. If I was fighting another fighter, I think it maybe would have gone differently. But the thing with the glaive is, in the hands of a skilled pilot, the glaive can be very dangerous. But if you understand, if you've flown the glaive like I have, there are certain issues with the model that are just very difficult to overcome, no matter how good you are, right? The velocity of the projectiles is one of them. The fact that you cannot apply damage with the cannons at a very far range is very detrimental to your success. And what I had noticed is Zero was unable to keep merged with me for longer than a single pass. And so I knew that if I was going to make this work, I'm going to have to kill the glaive first, because the risk of leaving the glaive alive is too great. The glaive is alive, it gets one shot on me, and I'm in a Blade, my shields are down, it's end game, end of story, right? And New Cabbage is definitely accurate enough to get that hit. So I needed to kill the glaive first, because in order for the glaive, to kill the glaive, then we can go for the Hornet, right? And a couple times I had noticed the glaive would get aggressive on me. I kind of hold it at range a little bit, and once I got to the kind of 500 meter spot where it was gonna start hitting with its cannons, I would shoot across the snows the opposite direction, and I would corkscrew into it and get behind it, and then at that point it would start to try to disengage. And every single time it was the same pattern, right? So disengage as soon as I got within the 500 meter bubble. And so what I ended up doing was I ended up preparing for the disengage again, right? Shooting at the glaive at range, knocking its shields down, kind of softening it up for the next run. And then as soon as I cut across the snows and got behind it again, it would start disengaging. And 2 or 3 times of doing that, I'm getting full magazines into the back of the glaive until eventually off it went, right? And that's the sound of the crowd when that happened. Watching a 2 versus 1 in a live setting, against a squadron that, would be considered very rival to Avenger Squadron, the crowd just went up, and you could hear it in the video too, right?
There we go.
Yeah, right now you see New Cabbage putting in some great damage.
Right on the top.
Billy, right over the top of his cone, doing a great damage here, doing some good damage. The glaive is down. Here it goes. New Cabbage out of the way. It only
when you're in person, it's so much louder, right? So much louder. At that point, it became a 1 versus 1 with the Hornet, and we all know that the Blade is going to win that fight. It's going to win that fight all day. So, that was the end of the tournament for me. What ended up happening, and I'll explain this very clearly. What ended up happening was, we had enough issues with sticks, and G.I. Jew ended up having his mount fall off during a fight. Things like that. It really puts a dampener on the competitive integrity of the tournament, right? And so I was a very big fan of the idea of let's not do a tournament. Let's say, you know what? Let's leave the trophies for some other time. This was a showcase to the StarCitizen public as to what they're kind of missing, right? And I thought that was I thought what Apno did, I thought was awesome. I thought the fact that we kind of just transitioned into a presentation was really good, because, it's one thing to quote unquote win a tournament, but if you're gonna win, you want to win with the respect of your peers as well, because, what's winning if everyone looks at it and goes like, yeah, well, this person, you know, was basically handicapped the whole time and they can't compete, right? So I thought it was great. I thought, you know, for the, I guess, good faith of the presentation is better that we just ended it, right? And put on the best show we could, right? It was still amazing to watch those fights. It's so much fun, you know? And what I'm really hoping is that people kind of get invested, you know, in this process and start picking favorite, you know, pilots to support. And, you know, I can definitely see the competitive scene in StarCitizen growing from this point on, right? I think a lot of people maybe didn't even know it was a thing. And when folks walked through the stage, you know, when they walked through stage B and they saw the community booths and they stopped watching and they started watching the fights, you know, you could see people were like, this is awesome. Like, what is this? You know what I mean? You know, and then the fact that we came on the stage after in front of everybody, you know, and you know, just kind of waved and said, hey, by the way, guys, you know, this is a thing, I thought was really cool, really cool. So if you don't know what fight or flight is, and you don't know who some of these pilots are, you will now, right? And there's no excuse for saying that you haven't heard about it, because it's out there, right? And now it just comes down to everybody's support and showing up and having some fun, right? So anyway, those are the two stories as to, like, you know, how it felt for me competing, you know, how it felt during those 2v1s, you know, and then watching my team and some of the other teams from RAM, you know, like it was nice to see. It was nice to see a good portion of the PvP community kind of coming together and realizing that we're all on the same side, right? You know, because I think after this, you can clearly tell the guys that really do have the best interest of the game and, you know, the PvP scene kind of at their core, and the people that are maybe more interested in personal goals, right? Which I think is a really healthy thing, right? It's, you know, it's really nice to see guys come together, you know, crack a beer, talk about stuff, and, you know, ultimately realize that we're all kind of headed in the same direction, right? But I can tell you right now, man, the excitement, the positivity from competing in that tournament, I don't have words to express it. I wish everybody watching the stream and this video and whatnot, I wish at some point in your life you get that experience, to be doing the thing that you love to do in front of the people that you love to do it in front of, right? Because it's really something. It really is. You know, and the fact that there was a lot of people who kind of came up to me and were like, you're Avenger 1, let me shake your hand, like, thank you for what you do, was a big eye-opener for me, because I realized there is a lot of folks out there that, you know, are enjoying the content and feeling that they're getting some value from what we're doing, right? And I think if Pyro shapes up to be what it's supposed to be, you know, we're going to have a lot of PvP encounters. So people either have to start training and learn how to defend themselves, or, you know, maybe change the way their mindset is with the nature of how StarCitizen is going to go, right? So I had a sit down talk with Yogi, which was really good. You know, Yogi, if you're watching, buddy, I really had fun talking to you. You know, and it's just, I don't know, it's just, this CitizenCon was so different. I think because we've been so cooped up because of COVID, I think because a lot of folks, you know, have been kind of waiting to see, like, what is going on with StarCitizen. You know, now we've got Asmongold making reaction clips to some of the stuff. I think the world is starting to finally pay attention to, like, oh, this is a thing, you know? So Chris saying hold the line is a kind of a meme, but I mean, Chris is good at memes, I'll give him that. But yeah, this CitizenCon felt really different, you know? Not that I've ever been to any other ones, but you can tell there was a different kind of positivity in the air. People were hopeful again. People were excited to dream, you know? People were excited to talk about what they want to see in the game. And for the first time in a long time, we saw some real, tangible, like, irrefutable evidence that the game that we want is happening, right? Now, we might get Squadron 42 in a year from now, maybe a year and a half, but the point is it's sooner rather than later, right? And a year and a half can go by pretty fast considering all the stuff that we're up to, right? So if you haven't gotten into the game, or if this is the first video you've watched about StarCitizen, or if you're a veteran and you're thinking of kind of making a comeback to kind of play it again, now's a good time, right? Now's a pretty good time. But I mean, I could go on, guys, for another hour talking about some of the smaller things that went on, but you know, to basically sum up the video, I had an absolutely wonderful time. I'm really excited to get back to making content. I know there's some cool stuff for the flight model coming down you guys are going to want to see. Know that I'm going to try my best to make the highest quality training content I possibly can to make sure that, you know, when these new flight model updates come out, you guys are prepared. You guys, you know, get to see it played. And I think deep down, I'm really hopeful that more people get involved with the fight or flight experience. More people come and watch tournaments, you know, and I know that, so in March, I'll be sponsoring a tournament myself through Abno Esports to raise money for the Sick Kids Foundation. So if you guys haven't heard or seen any information about that, you'll be seeing that come out on the channel in the next few weeks. And I'll kind of be reminding people all the way until March that we're going to do this, right? You know, and all the money will go towards the Sick Kids Foundation, which will be, you know, for kids that are battling cancers and whatnot, right? So they're a local hospital in my town, so I kind of wanted to support them. I did it before through Star Wars Squadrons. We raised $25,000 through Squadrons, and so I wanted to do that again through StarCitizen, and I think we can beat that number. I think we can beat that number. You know, so watch out for that tournament in March. It's going to be a lot of fun, right? But you know, I want to see people get involved. I want to see people starting to come in and watch more fight or flight content, because I think it's a good time, right? And I think if there's one thing that people realize during the live presentation is that it is a lot of fun to come and watch, right? So thank you so much, folks, if you've been following the channel, you know, and supporting me on YouTube and Twitch. I couldn't do this without you, right? You know, and like my promise from the very beginning of the channel, I said I was going to take you with me through this whole journey. You know, from 10 subscribers to now we're at 30,000, and we're only getting bigger. Come here, Sam. Come here. Are you complaining again? Come here. Come here. Oh, I know. Come here. You know, I was going to take you through the whole experience. You know, and it, you know, now I guess we're getting like sort of known, you know, I mean, I've never in my entire life had people come up to me and ask for my autograph, or, you know, shake my hand and be like, oh my God, you're A1. That's never happened to me before. That was the first time it ever happened. And it was a really surreal experience. But I'll tell you this, I tried to, everybody that came up and spent their time to say hi to me, I shook their hands. And I looked them in the eye and I said, thank you, you know, and I never want to get to a point where I start to, you know, and I'm like, man, I'm too good to talk to people. You know what I mean? That's ridiculous. There's no difference between me and other folks, but I really do appreciate the love, you know, that people coming by and taking time out of their day to say, hey man, I think what you're doing is awesome. Right. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys. I'm ready to get back to the content. I know this was a bit of a longer video, but some of this stuff I think needs to get said, right? And also a big thanks to my team, Schwang, and all the boys. You guys are awesome. The best team a man could ask for. So, folks, I'll see you all in the next video. Again, thank you so much. You know, and be sure to, you know, stop by the Discord and whatnot. Also, we have a 7% discount for Tobii products. Use the code Avenger1 if you'd like a discount, right? That's getting set up now. And again, if you want to use Predator mounts, a mounting system for your joysticks, use the code Avenger1 for 5% off, right? And then we might be getting a discount as well for Track IR. I know they've been in talks with me. So again, all the equipment that I use, that I am going to support is stuff that I think is good stuff, right? So that you won't be wasting your time, right? So anyway, thank you so much, folks. That was Avenger1. I'll see you next time.